Well, I considered Ubering, but it is raining hard. And while normally I dig Ubering in the rain, my raincoat and rain boots are stuck in my car, which is not in a covered area, prohibiting me to gain access to them. Therefore, I was like, I'm all dressed up. Let's record. I got some stuff on my mind. Let's hash it out. So,
Let go. Asteroid of fear.
welcome to another episode of the Men of the House podcast. And thank you for spending time with me, Richard, the host. Thank you for giving up your time, as it's the only thing we can't get back. So, I appreciate you spending it with me. Well, this is episode 200. Could be 201. I don't know. I think there might have been a few in there that I didn't number or got, you know, went Spotify over to Buzzsprouts. So, we're just going to call it 200. How about that? And not only that, I'm getting ready to turn 50. Yeah, I have a lot of feelings about that. Some of it's confusing, some of it's resistance, some of it's pride. Like I'm actually happy to make it to 50. Never thought I would make it to 50. But then, like, thought I might be somewhere else at 50. Sure as heck don't feel 50. I don't look 50. Especially not like the 50-year-olds when I was growing up. When you knew people were like 50, you were like, man, they're old. I feel like, yeah, it's time for some Wrangler pants with some creases in the front, some suspenders, maybe a little brush popper shirt with some pearl snaps on it, and a trucker hat. Go have a coffee every morning at the donut shop or wherever old men gather. Yeah, those days are over. Way over. As a matter of fact, there was an article I was reading this morning, and it was basically where it had to do with a grocery store sacker, bagger, whatever you want to call it. And, there was an elderly man, I guess, in there shopping saying that back in his day, as a grocery store bagger, he was able to support his whole family. The wife was a homemaker, etc., etc. Not anymore. Those are like high school entry level jobs. And you have people actually doing it older. As a matter of fact, I see older people doing all kinds of different things out there while I'm Ubering. Um, man, how COVID changed so much, how the past 6 years have changed so much. Um, then looking at the 50 years for me, they talked about, how the boomers had some of the greatest stock market access. That's partially how they could, you know, I guess work as a bagger, support their people, their families, and retire with anywhere from half a mil to 2 mil in the bank. things are quite different now. I mean, 65,000 really isn't a whole lot for a single person or a family. And meanwhile, you know, where I'm at, minimum wage is 7.25 an hour. And a lot of people were making what, 10 to 12 an hour, probably 13 if they're lucky. Although I did pick up an Amazon driver the other night who makes 21.50. Um, Ubering, I average 15 to 18 or 18 to 21 depending on if it's, you know, okay or okay plus. If it's good, it's 25, 30. But yeah, I mean, even when I look at what I was making 6 years ago, it just $30 an hour or more. It doesn't seem like a lot now. Doesn't seem like it goes as far. I don't know what people are doing. I don't know how the corporate world is operating out there, what corporate salaries are anymore, but I do know everything is on the rise, be it from rent, um, groceries. I mean, I do a lot of Uber shop and pay. You know, 2 bags, 80, $100, 2 grocery bags. So yeah, inflation. Then, reading or I listened to Caleb Hammer on Joe Rogan. That was actually a pretty good episode on finance and just talking about the shift in the dynamics of how home ownership is not what it used to be. Um, and some of the generations like Gen Z and whatnot, they're not into it as much. One, because it's difficult, damn near unaffordable. And two, you lose mobility. You run the risk of carrying two mortgages should you get a job elsewhere because people are not doing this whole my dad worked for Ford for 30 years. Now I'm going to go work for Ford for 30 years. Um, I feel like whatever, you know, used to be considered a world of stability, almost like during COVID, I think that whole rug was kind of ripped out from underneath everyone. And you essentially learn that nothing is safe, nothing is stable, and especially when it comes to government and or corporations who have financial interests that they want to protect. um, 100% they will manipulate a narrative to ensure that they come out on top. Although, yeah, I do feel sorry for, um, I do feel sorry for a lot of the mom and pop shops that had to shut down during COVID, especially given that it was such a false narrative and all the people who had interests in different things, you know, they got to be the deciders on what was essential and or non-essential. Um, Obviously, uh, leaning benefit to themselves, rules for thee and not for me, type of thing going on. But yeah, that really, I think, opened up everybody's eyes. And as I approach 50, I look at where I've been, some of the jobs I've done. Had I stayed in certain places, such as the military, I'd be retired. I have a Somebody I served with, retired. I believe he was the commanding officer of a destroyer. That could have been me. I could not be struggling. I wouldn't say I'm struggling, but um, I could not. Well, how about this? Turning 50, I thought I would be retired. And the fact that I'm not, it's not that it's struggling. I guess I still have purpose. Where a lot of people, I mean, they're starting second careers and refinding purpose and or finding a second purpose. And I might have been one of those. But there's no way to really tell how things would have turned out. Would I have survived 20 years? Would I have been involved in a training accident? Would my mouth, as always, continue to get me in trouble? Speaking up for the truth, um, going against the grain, breaking the rules, being slightly rebellious, which I tend to be. Would I have made it 20 years? Hmm. It's hard to tell. So, there's really no point to dwell on it. There's just this, kind of you have to accept that things have gone the way they've gone. Um, for whatever reason, you'd like to think that, hey, God and or the universe has a bigger plan and or purpose than what you had dreamt up, because mine was like retire from the military, then probably join a federal agency and retire a second time. Um, but it's like I look at when you look back over the past 20 years and all the scandalousness from the CIA torture program to, I mean, all that stuff. There's a good chance I might have been in the middle of some of that, which the government perpetrated, and I don't agree with. I've always been kind of a service to others, believe in America, patriotic person. So more than likely, I would have been a blind sheep of, hey, get this done. I don't care how you get it done. Um, you know, very well could have easily been me. All these podcasts I listen to, all these stories I listen to, um, any other people could have been me. From a memory of someone who didn't make it home to someone who ended up in jail for speaking out against something they thought was wrong because they felt morally obligated to. I'm sure those people didn't anticipate that their life was going to be going the way it was either. But in a sense, it all works out. Uh, just like kind of having faith that it's all going to work out for me, however that's supposed to be. Um, yeah, what is, I think today is maybe the 13th or 14th. Recording day, not release day. Unless I decide to release it today. But we're grandparents. The grandbaby's only a month old, but oh my gosh, this past month has been just bananas. From the New York trip to graduate, well, not graduation, but people graduating did take time in that period. The end of school, going back to see the baby, another birthday, and then, just catching up from time we took off, working a lot. Already seems that um, the next 4 or 5 weekends are planned out with things that need to be done. Um, some of them are things that need to be done. Some of it's, vacations with family, et cetera, et cetera. But, either way, we're already looking 4 or 5 weekends out, which kind of gives me a little bit of anxiety. I'm like, oh, man, I just feel like I got so much to do, so far behind from plans changing. And I feel like this level of anxiety, like, I had 30 things to do, and it's like, which ones are going to make the most difference? That's where you need to, you know, what's the most important? Which, man, the doula course is over, but I've got to submit my stuff, do a few things, and take the exam. Um, mm, but I've been out working and caring for others, both Ubering along with caregiving. So my weeks have been pretty busy and trying to reach bonuses, which, I think it was a couple weeks ago. Had almost $1,000 week, reaching bonuses for 44 hours, 956. I could have went back out and made the extra. I think I needed 34 or 38 bucks to reach 1,000. Could have had $1,000 week, 45, 50 hours worth of work. Um, so that was kind of about seeing what's possible. Now it's about, picking the days, sticking to them, finding me a schedule that's sustainable, so I can hop back into podcasting, get the doula thing going now that school's out, but also, make time to spend with the kiddo. Um, yeah, I feel like I'm being pulled in 1,000 different directions. Need to narrow them down and select a few things and work hard on those, if that makes sense. But due to the working quite a bit lately, that has kept me off social media. Um, no posting daily, just kind of posting more as I feel so, which has been better for my mental health. Uh, yeah, I feel like I look at it every once in a while, but not really engaging, just finding a few things. And I find myself like scrolling a little bit and then just kind of going away from it. But, you know, a lot of it was working 7 days in a row. I think I took one day off and then worked four more. And when I'm out there driving, I don't do social media. Really, I might here or there if I have a moment, if I'm waiting on an order. Or, let's see. Um, then when I had my day off, I took a day off on Monday, me and the wife both, and yesterday, and just kind of lounged around. And I didn't really social media at all. Just kind of watched TV, took a nap, stuff like that. Recoup. Because, man, I'm telling you, trying to hit some of these bonuses and make that money. I've had a few 3 a.m.s the past 2 weeks. Because believe it or not, I mean, there's people who need rides 2 in the morning. People out there working. I guess they get someone to drop them off at work, but they need a ride home, sometimes 45 minutes. And, you know, I'm glad to get to be able to do that for them because I know that that's got to be a worry. I mean, used to back in the day, I guess you had taxi cabs that operated all hours of the night, but with Lyft and Uber and whatnot, any of the rideshare programs, I guess you have to bank on someone being out there working nights. And, for me, it's not always, it's only sometimes. So, that would be a concern. But I was actually there, drove somebody 45 minutes one way and was happy to get a ride back. Um, so yeah, 55 bucks or 50 bucks to go round trip, 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back. Wasn't too bad. Straight shot. Yeah. So lots to be grateful for. Oh, man. Mm, that is me yawning. That is the past month catching up. All the work. Feel like I just need a little reset and then full force into whatever else is going on. But we'll see if I record an unfiltered Friday or not. Um, a 50th birthday episode. Probably need to. And right now, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do for my 50th. I don't really know. If it were up to my wife, she'd make it big. And the fact that it's around Father's Day, she would make it doubly big. With all the fathers, all the family. Um, but I'm not much into big things and a lot of attention, so might take a little trip somewhere private. Kind of already have a beach trip planned this summer, and it's kind of par for the course. And I'm like, you know, I like the beach, but not that much. I mean, I do, but I could live there. I like the mountains too. I like hiking. As you guys know, and I've done the Bataan Death March twice, the Mammoth March. So I do enjoy like New Mexico, Colorado, things like that. I haven't been to Arkansas in a while since I was a kid. Me and my mom and dad used to go there, so that was kind of on the list. Maybe hot springs at a national park, maybe do some hiking, hit the hot springs, but a little less beachy, a little more mountainous and or country, hilly, whatever you want to call it, nature-esque. I'm all about the nature. Um, find a lot of peace. So yeah, that's kind of on the bucket. We'll see. We'll see. And if I record, I'll let you guys know if that's the case. But yeah, the bigger kids, they're older. They got their own lives. Now it's just me and my wife and the 12-year-old. And, you know, I definitely want to expose her to other things as well, besides the beach. The same old, same old. Um, but yeah, we'll see. We shall see. I can remember my 40th. We were in Myrtle Beach. And I can remember that was the first time I felt being afraid of heights when we were on the Skywheel. And I just kind of chalked it up to, dude, you're getting older, preservation of life, less stupidity, you know how things work. You know, things are built by humans. You know, people are not paying attention. Things are faulty. It could go wrong. Um, you know, you're taking a chance. I mean, hell, what was it, a month ago or so? Like a roller coaster stalled out at Six Flags and people were having to walk down it. I mean, would that not freak you out? Come on. Yeah. I mean, we were in New York, and when we were going up to the edge, just knowing you're going 1,000 feet up in the air, not knowing what you're going to step on onto, I was just like, uh, I got a moment of anxiety. And when the kids are in there going, hey, what if the elevator like gets stuck? I'm like, oh no, please don't. All of a sudden you're claustrophobic. I can never remember. Well, being in an MRI machine make you slightly claustrophobic. So yeah. Um, I don't know what fears 50 will bring. Hopefully it'll bring less fear, more life. more truth, more living in truth. I mean, you're going to be 50. If you live to be 100, halfway. If you live to be average, which is 70 something, you're two-thirds of the way. So why are you giving a fuck about what other people think? Exactly. You know what you're about. You know what's important to you, which is life. Serving others, treating people with equality, giving people the benefit of the doubt, giving people an opportunity, leading with love, connecting, understanding this is temporary, understanding that quality and happiness are not by the things you have, not by how much, but the quality. You know, do you have your basic needs met? Food, shelter? Do you have people that love you? And do you have a purpose? Do you have something bigger than yourself you can sink yourself into that gets you up every day, that makes you say yes even when you don't want to? I mean, that's me sometimes. Caregiving is hard. Helping others is hard. It's not always convenient, you know. But that's the one way I can show my selflessness when it comes to service, is by saying yes when it's not the perfect time, saying yes when you don't want to. Because if not you, then who? Some of the people we help have no one. So, and I'm always glad I said yes. I always feel good when I walk away. And that's what it's about for me. But you know, I am getting older and I can do less physical things even though I'm in shape, and I want to preserve and maintain my physicality and fitness and not be injured. And so that's the whole purpose of transitioning from actual caregiving to a little more of a support role in dual work, because I can't do this forever. You know, helping people who are quite larger than you, it can be taxing on the body. And when you're helping others, transferring them to a car, getting them out of bed, helping them sit up, they don't want to be compliant. Sometimes they can help, sometimes they can't. It's hard, super hard work. My heart goes out to all those who do it, you know, especially in a more home environment, a more home setting, because you don't have the tools and or the assistance like you would in a hospital. You know, there's not a whole crew of people to pick someone up or roll somebody. Um, you can't raise the bed always if they're not in a hospital bed. Sometimes it's in very inconvenient positions. And there's a lot of people who do it anyway. Out of love, out of duty, and some for occupation. But regardless, it's got to get done, whether it's in the home or like a assisted facility. Hmm. So yeah, shout out to everybody who caregives. What else do I have? Not much else. There's not much else top of mind. Not much else. Uh, Not much else to talk about. Just, hey, this is what's going on. Trying to get in the groove. Trying to find my rhythm. Slowly getting there. Slowly getting there. And freaking out a little bit about turning 50. And that's only because I thought I'd be somewhere different, but I don't know. How many people turn 50 and are exactly where they thought they would be? Hmm, that's a better question. And I think even if you thought you might have some qualities of your life cemented down or nailed down, like I'm going to be a millionaire by the time I was 50 or something like that, I feel like there's always something else in there that you didn't account for, you couldn't account for. A little curveball that God or the universe will throw at you and be like, oh, you didn't think about prostate cancer, or you didn't think about this, did you? No. Well, what is life? What is it about? It's about exploring that purpose, living your purpose, while also, I think maintaining a sense of grace about yourself and with others, and adapting and kind of riding the wave, sometimes wiping out catastrophically and rebuilding. Some people get two lives. Shit, some people get more than cats, get 10, 12. You know, I know people out there steadily trying to kill themselves and can't, like cockroaches. They just keep surviving. We had a cat like that in the ER. I remember he came in, like, hey, he's like, how do you know my name? I'm like, dude, you're in here all the time. He like rolled into the lake in a wheelchair, was burned up, all kinds of stuff. Damn near drowned, almost burned alive, nothing. And then I caregive and I take people to appointments and I see people hanging on for dear life. You know, one conversation away from life totally changing for them and their entire family. One blood test away, one PET scan away, one MRI away, one set of results away. They live in fear and uncertainty. They live with hope and hopelessness. That's when I look around and I'm grateful that I don't have any major ailments at the moment, and say to myself, hey, self, you need to Yeah, tighten up because you don't want them 10 years from now, 15 years from now either. And then when I am having my pity party, feel like nothing's going for me, I have to remember those people and say, hey, they believe that life is worth living. They're fighting and holding on to every last breath, clawing to stay alive. And you're over here being selfish, considering maybe removing yourself because things aren't going your way. Yeah, that's all life is. Sometimes, I figured it out the other day that people want. And I've always been this like, I think the less you want, the less painful life is. Sometimes the pain in life comes from wanting something and not getting it. And so if you want nothing, then you have less pain. Then that's kind of no fun either. Because the other part of that is, what if you actually get what you want? Sometimes it's grand. Sometimes it's not what you think. Sometimes people get what they want and they're still not happy, still not satisfied, still not fulfilled. I mean, look at movie stars, rock stars. They all think this or that's going to scratch the itch. I don't know. The only way I've ever been able to scratch it is by service to others, by being selfless, but also learning, which I haven't done a very good job of, and probably something I need to learn this year and need to make a commitment from 50 on is love yourself. Give yourself the same empathy, sympathy that you would others, the same grace. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to them. If somebody were struggling, you wouldn't kick them down. You would offer them assistance because that's who you are. That's what you do. When everybody else runs away, you run towards. Now you just need to run towards yourself. Quit running away from yourself. I'm talking to me, in case you're wondering. But if that hit you, that may be true for you too. As a kid, I used to, I didn't have the healthiest display of marriage, so I never wanted marriage and I never wanted kids. Um, Now I have both. Um, you know, and I always had this thought of like, yeah, you got to be happy with yourself because even if you had wife and kids and they contributed to your source of happiness, working in a level one trauma center, chicken today, feathers tomorrow, I've seen it happen. No matter what, you got to wake up and face yourself in the mirror every day, so you better be happy with you. So that was kind of another little belief I had as a young man. And I still believe that's true. And I'm still trying to be happy with myself. And look back at the reasons you know, I would come down on myself, whether, not meeting my own standards, not keeping promises to yourself, not finishing something maybe you should have, so getting close to 50, that's what I need to learn is whatever God grants me, whether it's a last third, a second half, maybe technology advances and you know, I get more than half, a second half. I need to embrace it, treat myself with kick gloves, with love, and just do the things that matter to me. I mean, I don't need to argue with other people who don't have my viewpoint. We live in this world of everything is like overly optimized, and I'm not about that. It's like I'm about slowing down and being present. But everyone else is optimizing for this, that, and the other. I don't know. But at the end of the day, for me, it's about presence. And I don't need to convince anyone of that. It's true for me. And there's people that resonate with me in that truth that, you know, hey, you could have blinds that open automatically and save you 10 minutes a day and whatever, 70 minutes a week. How many ever hours per year? How many years over a lifetime opening blinds? But there's also people who wake up, walk through the house, letting each light in, basking in the sun as it comes through and hits the plants, getting some sunlight themselves, and a certain peace and certain flow, just like watering a garden, planting plants or flowers. You can have a landscaper come and do it, sure, and your house will still be beautiful. But what does it mean when you do it? When you turn the soil with your own hands and you water it? It means a little more. There's a little more. I can feel it, even just describing it with words. Some things are so sterile and transactional. They may hold some beauty, but that's not where the beauty is. The beauty's not in the reflection of the object back to you. The beauty is in the process that it took to create what is reflected back to you, and the process that person had to go through, and what brought about that process, what pain they endured in that process, every emotion they felt as they put pen to paper, paint to canvas, finger to string, vocal to microphone, to get that message out there, to get that rendering out there, that reflection of what you see and or hear or read or bring into your soul. It's all the pain and fucked up part of them that brought that beauty forward. It's about the story behind it. The picture's just the picture. Is Starry Night really beautiful? Or is it beautiful because Van Gogh was a fucking maniac and a lunatic and managed to create something of beauty from something that was so dark? Hmm. Hmm. I've seen a lot of death. I've seen a lot of pain. I see a lot of pain on a daily basis. I just see people unhappy with themselves, people who are lonely because they won't look up from their phones to connect with someone, people struggling with extra weight, yet they just fall back into the same pattern of soothing themselves with food or screens, never fixing the problem, never committing to some exercise and boosting their endorphins, never committing to maybe talking to someone in real life, having a conversation with a stranger, doing something nice for someone. Now they live in a world of text messages, emails, and posts and videos, and nothing seems real. And they wonder why they feel like shit, because there's no fucking real connection there. It's all placebo bullshit trying to take the place of, and it just can't. It just can't. So, well, I hope you listen to this, and I hope you got something from it. You know, watch yourself on the other shit. Just stay away from it. Or consume it responsibly, a bit like alcohol. I wonder if social media will ever get like alcohol, where people just realize the poison that it is and just fucking stop doing it. And then you'll have them lobbying just like Anheuser-Busch did to get them to not allow weed to be legal and everything else. Everybody's about my stuff. Consume my stuff, not their stuff. It's about my money, about my bottom line. It's all temporary. The Bible says so. And even if the Bible says so, you don't believe it, look at all the tombstones around. You're going to die. It's temporary. Okay? So, you should do your best while you're here to make the world a better place. Don't go out being an asshole because it's temporary, and be out for number one, because we got to share the space together, you know? So let's make it livable and, you know, friendly. Make it fun, not acrimonious. And you can still go out and make a difference, even though it's temporary. You can build something that's lasting, even if it's told through a story. You know, maybe perspective, you know, give somebody a different perspective that's everlasting, and that's what we're here for. And even if we don't share perspectives, that's okay. There's a perspective out there that you share with someone that we need. You know, if we were all the same, it would be boring. You know, I think we all have different gifts. We're all interested in different things, like SpaceX. Some people love that. I am not a science fiction, futuristic kind of person. I could care less about the moon or Mars. That's just me. But there are people out there who love that, and we need them. Um, but I'm sure there's people who work at SpaceX who give a fuck less about Kyle Smith, the supervillains, and a guy wearing a duck shirt. You know, who thinks that slowing down and being present and connecting with others is the meaning of life. And, while they're out there pushing boundaries, trying to explore the possibility of new life. So, yeah, I think we need us all, but it's about respect and understanding that and nurturing that and allowing everybody to live in their groups or tribes respectful of, their cultures, their religions, their beliefs. Um, and learning about it, you know, because fundamentally, we all kind of want and need the same things, which is some of that connection and, love, love. Speaking of, we had a pause in the rain. I'm going to try to get this knocked out so when it stops raining, I can go make a little money. But more importantly, maybe I can make somebody's day with my duck shirt, give them a ride. Because I know there's somebody out there in the rain going, oh no, how am I going to get home? I sure hope somebody's Ubering. And they run into me and they're happy. And we can have a cool conversation, maybe listen to some music that they enjoy. Like I picked up a dude the other day. He's like, oh, Sublime's new album. I'm like, nope, comes out Friday. Have you heard any of it? I go, I got 3 songs. He's like, I haven't heard any. I'm like, well, now you have. So, you never know when you can make somebody's day with something small. Little 10-minute ride. 3 Sublime songs. Yeah. For me, that's a win. That's life. That's enjoyment. I remember him. I'm sure he remembers me. And that's how I want to be remembered. As just a cool guy. Reasonable, down to earth, kind, caring, compassionate, willing to help, cares about people. So, on that note, go out and be the person that you want to meet. Let go. Asteroid of fear.